Shoutouts, Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey, it's me, Tamara. I think I'm already getting tired of saying that, so I'm gonna have to think of a new little intro or whatever. But welcome back to the show, new listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in for the first time. New episodes drop every Thursday. All my regular listeners, supporters, etc. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for continuing to support, listen, respond, all that good stuff, retweet. All the support that I get, I appreciate it. If you're not, you should be following me on social media. The link to my website is at the bottom of the screen if you're watching, or it's in the episode notes, and you can find my links to my Twitter, Facebook page for the show, and Instagram on my website. Let's go ahead and get into the weekly podcast shout out. So this week we got the Delvin Cox Experience, which I've actually been a guest on his show. Cool dude to interact with on Twitter, besides the fact that his preference is pancakes over waffles. But besides that, his show, the tagline he has is uniting the culture through diversity. So he'll have all kinds of different shows. He gets into like almost movie production podcasts. It's really dope, some of them that I've heard, and then different types of guests and stuff. So his website will be in the episode notes. And now let's go ahead and get into the show. The gang's all here. I told y'all Cedric was just not here last month, but it wasn't that he was out the crew. We wasn't looking for no new YGs or whatever. I'm the oldest, so I gotta be OG in this thing.
I didn't get Maul and Rory.
Oh man. Dang. Nah. So how y'all been though? It's been a minute.
Been amazing. It's been good. Been on a lot of vacations.
Yeah, man. Seemed like every other week you going somewhere.
Got to, man. Especially after how last year was. And you gotta just YOLO, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Crazy 2020, as we all know about it.
Yep. You got a birthday coming. Well, actually, by the time this airs, your birthday will have just passed because your birthday is the 26th. So what you gonna do for your birthday?
I don't know. Getting old out here, man. I got one more year, 20s.
Stop.
Yeah, one more year. So I don't know. I feel like I gotta live it up. I feel like I'm already getting tired, man. I've been taking naps.
Man, I took a nap today. It was amazing. It was like a 2-hour nap too. It was amazing.
Phone's starting to hurt for no reason, but everything. I'm gonna live it up. I don't know what I'm gonna do just yet. I might do something surprise. I want to I've been always wanting to visit out that western part of Nebraska, so I might do something like surprise. Let's see what.
Yeah, you better take somebody with you, because
we'll see.
Keep that thing on you, because we ain't out there like that. So you gotta stay protected. It's interesting. It's flat. I've never driven, but I've heard. Yeah, you've driven to Colorado. Ain't it super flat and just boring?
Kinda. I guess because there's a different highway. Because I want to see those monuments. I want to go up to Scotts Bluffs. That's what I kind of want to do. I think when you go to Colorado, you go through, what is that, 80? I don't know. Maybe it's not 80. Maybe I'm tripping.
I ain't never drove. Even though if Janelle moves, she said she's moving to Colorado Springs. next May. So I'm like, bet. Now that you're a drive away, I'll come visit. So that'll give me an excuse to go visit the mountains in Colorado.
And Colorado Springs is dope.
Yeah, I got a friend that lives there that I went to high school with, and then I got my other friend. He lives in Aurora, which is basically Denver, but still all of Colorado is beautiful from what I see of everybody who, does anything out that way.
Yeah, it's pretty nice out there. Pretty nice.
Yeah. Baylor, what you been up to?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Nothing at all. Same old, same old.
I like that.
Just working.
Just working. What's that other thing called? Being a parent and a husband and all that other difficult stuff.
Merch. Be doing a little. Not. I hate saying little because there's such a like. I'm trying to be a hater and I'm not. But the TikTok videos, you really be having.
Well, yeah, I use TikTok like how a lot of people use Snap. I just use it for the filters.
So you don't be posting them things?
Well, the way TikTok is set up is once you use their filters and things like that, it automatically posts.
Oh, you can't like opt out like Snapchat.
I mean, you could actually delete it if you want to, but I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the only app. That's the only app that I can pretty much use music without being flagged. You know what I mean?
So, that is
I might
true,
have to get into that because I've been looking at how I can't remember his name from Oversight Podcast. Not Johnny, Ralph, is that his name? He be posting workout videos, and like I don't put a lot of effort into trying to really post workout videos, but I keep saying I want to, and he was saying he does his on TikTok, so I might have to. I don't know if I want to start a TikTok though, but I might have.
I mean, TikTok.
Filters.
I mean, TikTok is actually, to me, I think TikTok is a much better app than Snap overall. Even when Snap first came out, I think the one thing that Snap will always have is that you can actually have a private conversation or something like that, or you can go, which I've never done, but people are telling me to do this now, which is randomly pick a place to go like through Snap, pick an area on the map, and you can see snaps and stuff from those areas. So I was like, yeah, so I was like, that's pretty dope. But TikTok is probably, even though it has obviously it has its pros, but it has a lot of cons to it. If you're a creator that's trying to get paid off of it and stuff like that. I've been hearing some negative things about content being taken down, getting violations for like, basic harmless videos. And I'm not sure what's going on with that. But no, that's probably one of the most entertaining apps I've seen in a very long time.
I mainly see TikToks on either IG or Twitter because that's where everybody will share it, or sometimes Facebook, but I don't scroll Facebook all like that. So mainly Twitter and IG. Snap, I don't even use my Snapchat really because I don't know. I know TikTok, you probably can have more access to just anybody, right? Like just or seeing anybody's content, I should say.
I mean, their content. And then I have to, with all these platforms, I can honestly tell you TikTok is the one where people, it's hard for them to, like, you have to perform. You know what I mean? So it's like on Twitter, you can actually hide behind your words. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that you can't be a fraud on TikTok, but it's like, you could be a fraud, but if it's entertaining, it's entertaining.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, TikTok is, if it wasn't for, you know, like again, their major violations is that I've been hearing a lot of people saying that they're getting shadow banned and all kind of stuff like that. So if that's the case, then that's pretty ugly. But
so shadow banned is when like they make it where no one can see your content, but they don't tell you, right?
Okay. Yeah, basically. Yeah. You know what I mean? But just like anything, you'll have some people who actually will report your stuff for no apparent reason at all. You know, that's with Twitter, IG, or whatever the case may be. But it's really trash when they do it on TikTok, because like I said, I've seen some of the best creative content come across TikTok. And like for real, a lot of these agencies should be looking at TikTok.
I love just when I see the collaboration videos where somebody took somebody's video and then they added to it, and like the one where the dude was like, today's my birthday and I'm gonna introduce y'all to my girlfriend, and they kept adding to it to where they made it where basically like he was holding her hostage, and then a negotiator came outside the door and was like, don't do it, and then you got the SWAT, and it's just because different people kept adding to it, so we're at the end of it was the news broadcast of them, like they were watching all of it. So it was just I've enjoyed all of that, but I don't know, I always got to feel like with every social media app, like there is a purpose for me. I think maybe once my brand drops, I might want to do more to have like more creative ways to do promo videos. Plus, then that'd be a good way to get the word out. You know, I'm always for easy distribution, but yeah.
I'm hearing that Facebook is one of those banned, like you can't do anything on Facebook.
Yeah, you see my Twitter account is still suspended on Twitter, so they not playing, and that was based off of music. So
they just suspending everything on
man. This is where, and I tweeted this, and I at Twitter too. Like they allow so much bullshit, and we talked about this the last time that we did the Movieteers, and they be tripping off stuff like I'm not receiving money or generating income off of these tweets. So having somebody's music playing in the background when I'm not saying, hey, y'all, check out my new song, and I'm not doing nothing like that. I'm literally either listening to the music because I appreciate the artist, which they should appreciate the streams, or I have put it on my kid's birthday videos. I used to. Now I just use my own instrumental beats that are mine because I paid for them, and I just will, you know, slow it down, speed it up, or whatever to kind of make it sound different. But it just makes no sense, the stuff that they do allow. I literally will be scrolling niggas butt naked, people having sex on an air mattress in the rain. I don't be going to look for this stuff. I don't be asking for this stuff.
You be falling.
There was actually a TikTok, and I had talked to some people about it, and some people were against it and some people were for it. I feel like when you take time to be this creative, I'm like, some artists should just let it be. You know what I mean? Unless you're trying to monetize off of it, then that's a whole nother story. But these youngsters had sampled Mariah's song.
Oh, yep.
And I'm like, you can't be that salty as a celebrity like that. And to me, like I've said, if it's dope, which they were getting a lot of positive responses off of it, I'm like, I don't get it. But you know, I mean, I can't really, you know, I've seen people
trying to get paid, man.
Yeah. But I don't know if those young kids were trying to monetize off of that track. I just thought they, you know, was something that they put on TikTok for for the attention.
I thought that's what it was too.
Yeah, but at the same time, I didn't went on Twitter and seen cats act like they were Baylor. So, and I was like,
And that can kind of mess up, like, especially the newer generation. I can understand why people would get mad about that. Because that can mess up, like, the younger generation growing up and then, like, figuring out who Mariah Carey really is. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who really doesn't know who Mariah Carey is. They might find these, you know what I'm saying? They seen that track and they might think that's
with that
Mariah
particular
Carey, you know
one, they challenged her and said, kind of like how you'll be like, you got so-and-so has 24 hours to respond. So they at her and were like, at least when I saw it on Twitter, Mariah Carey, you have 24 hours to respond. And her response was, you'll hear from my lawyer.
Oh yeah.
And, like these are like, for what? Like, why? But even I was listening to on my drive home from Branson last week, I went backwards through J. Cole's albums. I listened to the new one. I listened to KOD, which is still my least favorite album of his. Listened to For Your Eyes Only, 2014 Forest Hills Drive. That's my favorite. And I listened to the last song where he starts doing the credits. And I always listen to that whole thing, and he'll be talking about, if you still listening now, you really, really rock with me. But in that, what he's saying is how hard it was for him to get samples cleared. And he's like, I'm going to pay you. So if you put something out there and you were inspired by something to create that, you should allow other people to be inspired by you and not make it so hard for me to pay you, because it's not like he's just trying to steal it, at least what he said on the thing anyway.
Nobody is trying to steal it. We all know where the original song came from, but to our point,
do we really?
No, I'm talking about the older people.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter if the younger cats doesn't know where it came from, because if this video takes off, some of them might be inspired to actually go look for the sample track. And if the artist wasn't being such of an asshole, like there's some youngsters that went viral off of doing a dance to a track that I wouldn't normally listen to.
I know exactly what
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
her name is Natasha Bedingfield.
What is the song called?
Unwritten. It's called Unwritten.
Yeah, there you go. Feel the rain on your
skin. It went viral. It went viral to the point where she was like, "Next time, I want to be in the video with y'all."
Yeah,
I think that's dope. And so I didn't know her before. I heard the song before. I didn't know of her.
I didn't know who sang it either.
But I thought that was dope. She embraced the young, and she might be younger herself, but I'm saying she embraced what their creativity and then eventually was a part of it. Like, I'm an old head. So when it comes to music, a lot of this stuff I don't even like. At the same time, I'm not the same cat that's like, yo, get out my yard.
Yeah.
Some of them can go. Don't get me wrong. But but if it's dope, I thought it was dope though. You know what I mean? It's not something that I would listen to all the time. But I think you know what it is? Everybody's not a creator. And I can understand some creativity. And if it's dope and it looked like y'all took y'all time to do it, first of all, you really got to sample that song. You got to listen to her music. You're not just going to wake up and be like, all right, let me go find something in the 90s or whatever. You sampled that because you really like the music. So, Mariah, these young cats really like your music to where they put their own spin to it. And Kanye do it all the time. Man, when I found out when you really break down the song, it be songs out here that be having like 7 samples and we don't even be knowing.
I watched this video where somebody talked about, dang, I wish I could remember what song it was that they sampled. And dang, oh well. But yeah, it's so many samples. And even, let's keep it all the way real, our generation, songs that we thought were the original, a lot of them were not.
Everything in the 90s was sampled.
Yeah, so it's kind of like there's nothing new. It's just a lot of even they're starting to do that with movies too, where they're just redoing movies, bringing it back, blah 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 blah.
They need to stop that with some of the movies.
Yeah, some of them they just need to leave it alone. But let's go ahead and get into the movie that we came to talk about. Man, this was another one of my favorite 80s classic movies, National Lampoon's Vacation. And what's crazy is I didn't realize all this time that the son is Brian from The Breakfast Club. Yeah, the same dude. Yeah. And if you think about the fact that this movie came out in 83 and how young he looked, and The Breakfast Club came out in 85, how 2 years this man had a growth spurt and some more stuff. Now, I know movies take a while to like film and edit and all that, but still, you would think they would have started like probably soon after the National Lampoons came out. He probably started filming The Breakfast Club if there wasn't already some overlap, or I don't know, but it's just crazy how much older he looked 2 years later in The Breakfast Club. But
yeah, he had a hell of a growth spurt.
Yep. He looked like I Googled it because I was like, is that Brian? And I'm like, nah, that ain't Brian. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I looked at all the movies he's been in and I was like, dang, like I just don't pay attention to stuff sometimes. But this movie, they got a bunch of different National Lampoons, but we went with the original, Clark Griswold and his family. Audrey, I thought that was funny that her name is Audrey. Shout out to Audrey. His wife Ellen. They drive from Chicago to California to go to Wally World,
aka Disneyland.
Right. But you know, they wasn't trying to, you know, get copyright stuff or whatever.
They weren't trying to. They weren't trying to get
back in the 80s. So you know, they had to make up Wally World. Yeah. So overall initial, like, how was it coming back to this as an adult? Because for me personally, I haven't seen this movie in years. Like, I wasn't a little like I've seen it a few times, but man, it had to be like early adulthood the last time I saw it, like early 20s maybe. That might be a stretch.
Well, the thing is, like, this movie came out a year after I was born. So that's why I always thought the Christmas one was the original one. Because even though I did see this one, the Christmas one was the first one that I seen.
Okay.
So I was 7 when that one came out. But this, I don't remember it being this. I'll put it to you like this: this is cancel culture.
Definitely.
My gosh,
and I mean every bit of it. When he pulled that shower curtain back, I looked at my wife, I was like, dang, she got a cold rack. But I'm like, did they just show that?
Yeah.
and then my wife, like, and I grew up in the Def Comedy Jam era.
Same.
You know what I mean? So when they went to go visit the family, I'm like, yo, Chevy Chase, like, there was no cancel culture back then. I'm gonna tell you right now, none of this whole franchise can rock in 2021.
First of all, let's talk about when he went to the hood and he's like, yo, brother, like that whole, just because I'm talking to black people, I got to try to sound whatever, that would have got him canceled.
Can we talk about the wife, Ellen, how she was like, I ain't gonna lie to you. My wife being from the hood, you know, she can get a little, I don't think we should be here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So when she made that comment, like, you know, she basically felt uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever. But, you know, hey, they wasn't wrong though, because they definitely got robbed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rams got stolen. But let's back up to him even getting this vehicle. So let's go back to the beginning real quick. And
everything went bad.
How the hell do they trade in the car, instantly smash it up to where when they don't have the car that he actually ordered, it's either you gonna take this car or you ain't gonna have a car? Like, how the hell is that legal? You know what I'm saying? Like,
they smashed that car up. They smashed that car up before he even signed the paperwork for the
right.
I mean, he got away with a lot of. There was a lot of stuff that happened in this movie that probably shouldn't have happened that he got away with.
Mm-hmm.
Like the like when the dog was tied up to the back of the bunk. That was one of my favorite scenes.
Cancel.
Yeah. Peter would have been all over that.
That was a hilarious scene.
Man, can we talk about how when they went to go visit, I'm guessing that was her sister and husband. I don't think he was related. I think the wives were related. But can we talk about how when Audrey was talking to her girl cousin and she's like, I'm going steady and I French kiss, and she's like, everybody does that, but daddy says I'm the best.
Oh man, yes.
That right
what?
That
right went over my head when I was a kid.
Hell
actually.
Yeah, that went like that made me. I paused the
that
movie
went over
like
my head.
I know they is not.
My wife looked back at me and she was like,
man.
I was like, yeah, she said
that was but even going to like the grandmother going on to like passing away and how they did the grandmother, that was terrible too.
In the rain.
They had her on the roof, like nobody saw. They didn't even have her. First of all, you could tell that's a person, got the purse all up there, but they didn't even have her fully covered. You can see the back of her head was some hair, and they just riding, man, with this dead woman on the roof
and left her.
I'm pretty sure, like back in the day, people that were watching it that understood the jokes, it probably was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie to you. To me, it was hilarious because it was like, yo, y'all really wrote this in the script.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it was funny to me. I'm like, yo, y'all would not get away with this, but this is what it was back then.
I ain't even gonna fake. I laughed even when the daughter made the statement that basically she's being molested. I laughed because it was just so wild. Like, I have a wild sense of humor, but everything, like even when he's taunting that bartender and the bartender shot the shotgun at him, and then his wife was like, great, now she's deaf or whatever, and just said it all and like didn't care. She didn't do nothing about it. She's just like, just the sarcasm. I was such a fan of the sarcasm, but then even the awkwardness of them being in the hotel with their kids in the room, like not that far from them, and they trying to do their thing, and the kids just bust all in the room. Just what are you guys doing? Y'all ain't little.
I need to say this. About Chevy Chase because we know he listens. He was extremely horny to me.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Nasty Nate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, man, this guy, and it wasn't just like with his wife though.
Yeah, with that Christy, the model. I don't know what her name was.
Popping up. She popped up about 4 or 5 times.
Go skinny dipping with her in the pool, and you just,
which I thought was wild too. That how the wife handled it.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was wild. I didn't know how to feel about that one.
I was about to say, because I've been watching all of them recently, and this is why I couldn't remember which one the first one was, because we got to remember all of them are on vacation, so it just seems like all of them run together, but they do have a theme. Yeah, what comes to mind, and I hate to make this comparison, but it was like every time the jokes came and Chevy Chase started talking and stuff like that, I couldn't help but to think of like Bill Cosby for some reason. You know what I mean? I don't know why. I don't know why, but I'm like, yo, this is why I kept watching the movies. Yeah, but they're definitely not going to. I see why they haven't brought this back up.
Oh
ever.
yeah, no,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
they ain't bringing that back up. But the
Yeah.
thing with the white, like the whole, if we want to talk about themes, because y'all know I'm always tying it into real life, themes. One thing I will say is this movie did a really good job of just showing the reality of life, where there's trials, there's things you can't control that happen, and you kind of gotta just go with it.
Mm-hmm.
But then also going back to the way his wife handled him skinny dipping, because he wasn't kissing the woman, he wasn't, he didn't technically cheat. I mean, he didn't do anything. I know, but he didn't do anything. Is
Nah,
what
he
I'm
didn't cheat.
saying.
He
He
didn't
didn't
cheat.
do anything.
He was just he was ordering drinks.
But I think the
He was ordering
reality
drinks,
is that there are things that in marriages happen where you have to weigh it and either choose to forgive or not, and you know what I'm saying, and act accordingly. And so it's kind of like, I feel like there's a lot of, like, that's real. There's a lot of married people that the wife or the husband does something stupid like that, and they choose to forgive. I don't know that I would have.
And I respect her for that. I respect her for it.
I respect it too. Can I shoot my man some bail? Can I shoot my man some bail though?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me let the people know, when you get married, I promise you don't stop being a regular human.
Mm-hmm.
There's still going to be other attractive people out there. And guess what? Some married men and some married women, they still flirt.
Mm-hmm. And I see it all over the timeline all the time.
And sometimes purposely, and sometimes unintentional. You know what I mean? Because some people just have like great people skills and love to talk to people and very outgoing or whatever. And that could be mistaken for flirting and stuff like that. What he did, I honestly can tell you, like, unless we seen him put in a very tough position of temptation, I thought it was like honest flirting, but it's still wrong technically. You know what I mean? Because he was like dogging that woman since she was, since they met up on the highway. You know what I mean? Which he kind of, he kind of risked it a little bit.
But then lying to her too and saying, "Oh, because this is where it was super effed up." Just looking at her on the highway, that
she knew what was up too.
It is what it is. But trying to say, "No, that's not my family. I own all these hotel chains. This is all part of the act." Like, that's when you're doing too much. Because even if she knew what's up, you're trying to trick her, and then you're trying to present something. I don't think he necessarily even really wanted to go anywhere with that. I think he really just was very stressed by everything that was going on, and that was like his way of escape. But then he took it too far because they skinny dipped. But I think even with that, I think he kind of like was, I don't want to say pressured into it, because he's grown, he made that choice, but it's not like he intended to get a drink and go sleep with her. I don't think that was like really his intentions.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either. But like you said, he could have done without the lies.
Yeah.
Because if that wasn't his intention and he just wanted some attention and great convo, he could have went about it, and it probably would have went way smoother if he would have just been up front with her. You know what I mean?
But I think I don't think he lied to her. I think he was just like, how some people like know like they're role playing almost. I think he was just kind of like she knew he was lying. Obviously, she's seen
I
him with
see
the
where you're
family
going with it.
every single time that she's seen him with the family. Even he pulled up to her with his wife on the driver's side. He didn't care. You know what I'm saying? He didn't care. You know, sometimes I was actually thinking, I was like, is she awake? Because he was doing it so obviously. Like the first time when he seen her when he was by the tree, and he was kind of like they were like dancing with each other, and he was eating a sandwich and everything, and his wife was right behind him.
Yeah, that was wild.
Okay, I what about this one though? Say, what if it's one of those? Let me see if I could lie. What if I present myself as a different person because I know nothing is going to happen, and I probably never see her again. So I'm basically creating a character I can feel good about.
Yeah, it could have been that way as well.
But he was lying.
But he was lying.
Either way, he was lying.
Yeah, he was lying. He was lying.
But I think she knew a little bit. I think she had like because unless it was just that much like I don't know. I didn't take anything at that bar that he was saying serious, and I don't think she did too much, honestly.
Now
I was cut off. I'm sorry about that. I was caught off by the nudity.
Yeah.
That I was like took me by surprise.
Yeah, especially because I watched this as a little kid and I didn't. But also, I don't know what the insurance laws were back in the 80s. This nigga really bought a car and drove across the country with it transits. Like he didn't even have it transits. He just had the dealer plate on there.
Hey, I've seen people do it.
That's
I was on the road and people do it all the time, actually.
Nah, man, that's wild.
But do y'all ever think about this? I think about this all the time, especially when I watch a movie in the 80s. Like, how much you think that car was worth?
Yeah, yeah.
I think, yeah.
Because I'm like, look, that wagon look like it's about 11,000.
Yeah, but I mean, but back then, and how you buy a car and it's not cutting off when you turn it off initially, and you tell your wife that's what all new cars, and you just. One thing about him is he was a pushover. Like he let people get him to do. He didn't want that car. He did not want to give the brother-in-law any money. He did not want to have Aunt Edna ride with him. Like there were so many things that he didn't want to do that he did anyway. And you can't be letting people walk all over you like that.
That's why when he snapped at the end, he snapped.
Yeah. He was sick of everybody's shit.
He snapped. He's like, you know what?
The privilege, though. Can we talk about how this nigga held the security guard at BB gunpoint, but still gunpoint? Rode just to ride the rides. The police come and he is first of all able to walk away with the owner and the police don't do nothing. And then he's like, oh, well, we're not. I mean, I guess maybe the not pressing charges thing could have been real. I don't know, though, because a lot of times the state will just pick up charges depending on what it is. But you really held this man at gunpoint and was able to just explain your way out of it and move on with life.
I mean, he explained his way out of dragging that damn dog, too.
That too.
You know what? But I agree. He was a pushover, but it's one thing that he had that kind of bothered me. Well, I ain't gonna say it bothered me because that was part. If he didn't have it, then his character wouldn't have been funny. But he also had an ego.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like even when he didn't know the answers, he knew the answers.
Right. Oh, I can't. That's been something that people lately have been doing a lot, and it really irritates me. Like, I'm the kind of person that if I have knowledge about something, like from experience, professionally, education, whatever, Dang. Okay, said. and you say something wrong, depending on what it is will depend on whether or not I'm going to engage in an argument with you, because I don't have to be right. But the people who have to be right, even when they're wrong, and they say it so confidently, or they try to get loud, or they try to whatever just to make it seem like they're right. I've been dealing with them type of people a lot, and I've really had to decide, am I going to engage in this whole drug out argument, or am I just going to let them feel like they're right, even though they're dead wrong?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to walk away from certain fights, especially when
I'm back. Did that happen?
Yeah, what happened? I don't know. You just disappeared.
Yeah, that was weird. My fault, y'all.
You good?
I thought my internet was down or something. And no, I don't know what happened.
No, you good. No, man. With some people, you just it's pointless. Like arguing with someone that don't want to listen or don't want to hold themselves accountable. I just leave it alone. Even sometimes I've gotten to the point where I might not even know you, so I might not even know your moves, your intentions. But because I've dealt with so many weirdos in the past, I probably just won't. I won't even attempt to debate with you in the beginning. I'd be like, you got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it's funny that you say like he was a pushover, but at the same time, he still had an ego.
Yeah. Man, his shorts when he was racing Rusty at the end.
Oh, his fits was his fits was
the dress shoes.
But the shorts was like damn near booty shorts. I think his shorts were probably shorter than his wife's shorts. Like, and he just running, legs glistening all in the sunlight.
Hey, that movie was so wild.
That movie was wild as hell.
And you know what? I downloaded that song. I downloaded that song for personal reasons, but every time
Holiday Road.
Let me tell you, man.
I forgot how much I had them songs memorized until it started. I told you I ain't seen that movie in forever, and I was and when they was in the car singing the Mockingbird song, and he goes, "Yay, yay, whoa, 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 whoa." That was always my part.
Man, he was so amped.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. I think it went through like the whole like ups and downs too through a road trip, that a road trip could actually happen. Because I mean, the first part when you first get in there, everybody's hype, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Singing, everybody's happy. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of get into your little trials and tribulations, which theirs was when they went to did they first go to they went to the relatives, or did they go to the bar first? Or that
wait,
that's a good question. I feel like they went to the bar first.
I think so too.
Did they? So was that?
Yeah, because Edna wasn't with them when they went to the bar, when the bartender almost shot him in the face.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's when they went through St. Louis, because they had to get through St. Louis first and everything. And they went through the hood and everything. So they kind of went through all the ups and downs, kind of getting lost, riding through the wrong neighborhood.
Fell asleep on the interstate.
Which I've done that with y'all in the car coming back from New York.
I was telling Kayleana and Janae about that when we were on our way to Branson. So lucky to be here.
And that was on cruise control as well too. So
right, yeah. It really. You're right though. It was very true to life, relatable now. Like me and my kids just went on a road trip, so I listened to mainly podcasts on the way to Branson, but on the way back, me listening to music. They were hype at first, then they zone out with their headphones and they phones, just like they had their Walkman or whatever they had back then. And so it was just even just the interaction between the brother and sister was very just true to the way things are, trying to annoy each other, but then also teaming up when they're trying to be, in a sense, against the foolishness of the parents. And then also him stepping up because she's like, oh, they're probably going to get divorced, and him saying, let me go talk to him. I think that's how a lot of young boys, and I don't know like how old he was, but I could see that being real, where the son, as long as there's healthy dynamics in the relationship where the parent is approachable, going to the dad and being like, kind of like, what's going on? Because that was wild for everybody to see you in the pool with a butt naked woman that ain't your mama. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like it was very realistic. And also, besides the fact that it'd be cancel culture, that stuff really still, like, people are still like that. All that stuff is still real. It's just now people are less tolerant. I was gonna say sensitive, but I decided to say, I'm gonna still say less tolerant, because some stuff, I saw a tweet recently where it said basically, where they were like, back in my day, you know, there wasn't no, but they was talking about like ADHD and stuff like that and depression. Y'all just need to whatever. And the person was like, so really these people were suffering undiagnosed for years and you feel like that's cool? And so I feel like in some ways, tying it into cancel culture, there is a lot of toxic stuff that we have accept. Now, I'm not going to say it's all and lump it all together, but there is a lot of toxic stuff that we just accepted as just what it is, that we probably didn't need to. So this definitely would be cancel culture making a movie like this. However, besides the fashion, the old shaped car and all that stuff, I believe all this stuff still happens. You know, the dad really wanting to make sure he has time with his kids because he works so much. I like road trips because of that. I like to see the country. I like to be able to do whatever, you know, it gives me a lot of time with my kids for them same reasons, because I'm busy, you know, working and whatnot. And then I'm a single parent, so it's like I really have to, divide my time or whatever. But it was very realistic, just the dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to your point, if you go to Missouri today, you will still get robbed.
That is true. It was very true. St. Louis. And you see they didn't show the bad side of St. Louis, too, when they were driving into the city as well.
Yeah. But the thing about him, when he started snapping towards the end, I'm not going to say I felt him, but I kind of felt him, because when you think about all he was trying to do was get his kids, like, I know as a father, from what I know about fathers, is a lot of times y'all are like I want to be able to provide this for you. I want to have what it takes to make whatever happen for you. So from the beginning of the movie, there were so many barriers to him. Like, the movie started with the car salesman on bull and selling him that bull car. Then people, he was being a pushover, but then also some of that stuff was unexpected, like the mechanic sheriff taking all his money. That was raggedy as hell. So then he goes to the hotel and he tries to write a check, and the hotel person is like, no, because yes, he did cancel his wife's card, but they thought it was his too. I've had something like that happen where a card, you know what I'm saying, shouldn't have been canceled and was. Thank God I had Cashapp, so I could just transfer money to my Cashapp card, but they didn't have that back then. So then even him stealing from the register, he really didn't steal from the register, because he left the check in the register. He just did what the hotel manager said not to do in the way he said not to do it, but he really didn't steal and he even tried to pay him. I don't know what he does, how he has all this money, because $500 in the 80s was not $500 in 2021. That was a lot of money back then.
Right.
So I don't know what he did, but he had it.
Yeah. There was a lot of things where, like, you know, at one point they just wanted to go home. So, but again,
that happens.
Yeah, but then I will never turn around if we going to Vegas and we in the middle of you're just gonna be going to Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, so them going across the country like that, at that point it's like, as a father, you want to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? You feel like that's yours. Your job is to make it happen. He had already took L's earlier, and he was like, look, we just got to get there at that point. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, shout out to him. He, you know, that's what father.
He was so funny though. Even when he got to Wally World, I think he knew the entire time that it was closed. He was trying to remember. He parked. He was
how
like,
do you not know that? I just
she was like,
how do you not check? How do you not? I didn't understand that.
Yeah,
part.
because the very first thing you got to do is you got to make that call.
Yeah,
because you asking how much the tickets are. You
that
might
part.
You know, we talking about back in the 80s, so it's like you got to get there and you got to pay for it.
You can't Google it, and even if you Googled it, it would show up that it was closed because Google will tell you that information. But that was wild.
All I know is if I'm rusty, like I'm hot. I'm pissed. Now we gotta drive all the way back, and I'm in the backseat with my sister. Nah.
Where the dead person was sitting.
Where the dead person.
Oh man. You want to talk about traumatized?
Yeah. I mean, that whole trip. I mean, I know that Audrey, when her cousin said that, I saw the look on her face like, what? What you mean, daddy? That's not okay.
And still proceeded to take them joints though.
Yeah. You see how she gave her joints, like
a few of them.
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5 of them things.
Let me talk to y'all young cats out there. Y'all want to walk around talking about pre-rolls. She had these joints was wrapped nice.
Yep.
And they was ready to go.
Yeah.
So look, all I'm trying to say, youngsters, is there's nothing new under the sun. We just finished talking about sampling. There's nothing new under the sun.
Right. Yeah, and then the other cousin, they were now I don't know what they were exposed to prior to that, because she didn't look, even though he said she didn't know how to inhale, she didn't look like that was her first time smoking. Like, she looked like she was excited about it, but let's pretend that was the first time. They were exposed to so much being around their cousins. She's basically confessing that her dad is molesting her, but making it seem like it's cool. He's showing him Playboy or whatever brand it was, magazines, and talk about have you ever, basically I think was teaching him about masturbating, but he said it a different way. And it's like, that's real too though. You always got them cousins that you go to their house, like I would say out of, and it's funny because we were just with our cousins last week at our younger cousin's graduation, but I would say out of our families, I won't really put my other brother out there like that because it was always me. But I'd say we would have been the family where, because of me, you were going to learn all kinds of stuff you ain't have no business knowing, just because of what I was on and what I was doing in my teenage years that I had no business doing. But that's real too, where you have those family dynamics where one family may be a little more reserved or the parent may be a little more strict or whatever. And then you go over cousin Greg and them's house and you just watching pornos and smoking weed and maybe even having sex and doing all this stuff. And it's just very real the way that happened, but they were exposed to so much from their cousins.
I was just thinking about, and it's not funny. It's not supposed to be funny at all. Right. But you had brought up earlier, like this must be family on her side, and that must be like her cousin or sister or something like that, because her cousin's husband kept trying to get her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Kept trying to get her, and I'm like, in this scene, period, you have that. You have porn, you have pedophile and drugs, all in that one scene. Hey, look, when I tell you, you cannot remake this. You can't even use the same title. Like, look, and I know we're gonna go. I know we're going to go into a different movie. So, you know, to the people out there, just look into the franchise, because the beginning of the next one, crazy.
I feel like I gotta watch. I don't remember the European one. I saw this one in the Christmas, but I didn't realize like how many there were.
When I tell you, I'm just gonna say this. Obviously the opening scene, the game show, that alone, you can't finish making a movie after that. I'm sorry. You cannot. I'm like, yo, this is because I wanted to watch it. The 80s just put me in this nostalgia feeling, you know what I mean? Where I just feel like I'm a kid again watching this.
Yeah.
Even like certain smells and like it's weird how it works. And I turned on the second one, trying to just watch something before I fall asleep in bed. Man, the opening scene happened. My wife was like, "Yeah, you can't. Not while the kids is up. You can't watch this." I was like, "You know what? You're right. Let me just put Martin on or something."
Martin's better.
Yeah, it was that. It was that, and like I said, I'm talking like this as an adult in 2021. If you would talk to me back in the 90s, I'd be like, yeah, just a bunch of corny jokes.
Right. Right.
But as a parent, that scene right there, like, yeah.
There was a lot of wild stuff in there. And I think, Tim, you said something about it too, the privilege in the movie.
Yeah.
There was a lot of privilege going on in that movie too. On a couple of scenes, I was just like, man, that.
Just think about all, like I said, all the stuff that I just said. On top of, it could have been some. I wouldn't necessarily call that racism, but that was a little bit of prejudice.
Yeah,
I don't think that was really racism. When you, it was more like poking fun.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying as far as the characters, the kids were probably like a little bit scared or something like that.
Which they should have been in real life. They probably would have been scared.
but Chevy Chase was actually like, he was like almost semi clueless. You know, naive. What I'm saying? Yeah, naive. That's a better word, because he was really looking for directions. You know what I'm saying? At one point, they took some money from him. But the wife was really also, yo, I know I don't belong over here.
Right.
You know we don't belong over here. So that's why I was like,
But then also this isn't racism, the whole yo brother, like I can't stand when people feel like they think they know how black people do stuff, and then they gotta try to almost patronize them or whatever. Like, and this just happened yesterday where me and my daughters were at the laundromat, and if you know anything about me and my kids, first of all, we're actually usually pretty quiet. Like, unless we're engaging in a conversation with someone, okay, yes, we're going to talk. Yes, I like to laugh. I'm a storyteller. Like, I am who I am. But then there's a part of me that's just quiet and reflective, and also trying to preserve my energy, because a lot of times interacting with people could be very draining. So then I'm trying to find ways to kind of like detach from what's going on around me. So I'm not one of those like always loud, gotta have all the attention on me type people, but especially in a setting like a laundromat, we go there, we put our clothes in the washer and we wait. Then we put our clothes in the dryer and we wait. So we was all sitting there, and there's staff that work at the laundromat. So this was a new staff I had never seen before. They all just happened to be white women that I've seen on the days that I go there. So I'm sitting there, and the lady comes by, and she's like, she's been, they'll walk around, clean the machines, just whatever. And she's bringing a little cart, and she's like, you guys are so quiet. And I started to say, yeah, we usually are, because there was nothing wrong with that. Okay, that was perfectly fine. But then what she goes on to say is, yeah, something to the effect of, especially for 3 black women, I've never heard 3 black women so quiet. So when this happens, when people that are strangers say, especially racist or biased or whatever, just wild ass shit you don't have no business saying like that, I am always shocked, and I'm just quiet because like when things happen, I'm a thinker, and I always think before I respond. So I'm always that's just in general. Like, if I come to you and I bring you something, I've thought about how I'm going to respond before I respond. So I was just quiet, but because my kids were with me, I wanted to know if they heard it. So they were sitting on the right of me. So I look over to the right to see if they heard it, because then it would have been a whole different thing, because then I'm in mama mode because you got me messed up. But I looked to the right, but because I looked away from her, because like she was walking in front of us, and so then by this time she's over on my left putting the cart over there, because I looked away, then she goes on to say, I was joking, don't get offended. So now not only have you said something wild as hell, but then you've also tried to tell me how to feel, which that is a huge pet peeve of mine. So that type of shit.
So she basically confirmed what the joke was, though.
Basically, but it wasn't like, you don't know me. So then and this is what, because the girls didn't hear it because they had headphones on. So then I just remained quiet, and then she walked away, and I told them when we got in the car. And then me and Kayliana, because see, Kayliana, she's very outspoken when it comes to things like this. She's very much about justice. So even if she wasn't 19, even when she was in junior high, she would speak out on stuff like this to teachers, whoever. So Kayliana would have said something. And then we kind of talked about how that would have played off, because then if she said something crazy to my daughter, it wouldn't have, like, mama mode is a different mode, because I'll tolerate stuff that's just to me, and it is what it is. But if you do something to my kids, I don't play when it comes to that. And then what we said is that then ultimately she would have felt justified in what she said, because then I would have been that loud, aggressive black woman that she has this in her mind, that's how all black women are. So then to see 3 black women really two. I mean, technically, Kayleon is an adult, but she's lit. She don't. No, people don't usually think she's an adult. So a woman and her 2 black daughters, us just sitting there quietly on our phones waiting for our clothes to dry. That's not acceptable because we're black. I should be doing exactly what in a laundromat, ma'am? What is it that you wanted me to be doing? Should I have been up screaming at my kids or whatever else you saw on TV that made you think that this is how all black women behave? And that type of stuff pisses me off because it's like we are all people that have black skin, but that doesn't mean there is a universal way that we have to all behave to fit the model in your mind of what a black woman is.
You know what you should have did?
What's that?
You should have, as soon as she said it was a joke or something like that, you should have just said, shut your. And if she would have jumped, I would have just laughed at her and just walked away. I was just walked away right there, scary ass.
But the thing is, when stuff like that happens, because like it's rare that I encounter stuff like that, like in my face. So I'm always shocked because I'm just like, what? Like, what is happening right now? And if you thought I was that loud, black woman, you bold as hell because you was right by me. How you know I wasn't gonna knock your ass out? Not jump for not to play, but for real. Like, I just need people to not.
See, I've never experienced outside of a work-related incident where I was actually called the N-word, but outside of that, there wasn't too many.
At work, ooh, they bold.
Well, yeah, because it was. I work with the person. Let's just say that. You know what I mean? So, but outside of that, out of my 38 years, I've never really experienced. Like I've heard certain things. It's a few different stories of some like random type stuff, but nothing that was like really like blunt or
like
frank.
that.
You know what I mean? Because I've had situations where we were in places, and it was a group of us, and there were some, part of the group. There were some white people that was a part of the group, and so they felt overprotected to where they got wasted, start acting a fool, and they felt like they could do that because they were with us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Saying like, bro, I'm with them, so you shouldn't. And no, they don't know. Like, no, if you get in a fight, we gonna watch.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But no, that's the only thing that I can think of. Like, I've actually had cats somehow jump themselves into the game and say like, yeah, we're gang. No, you're not, Brad. No,
you're not. Stay in lane, man.
Yeah, but yeah, so that part of the movie is like that happens. Like white people, not all, but there are white people that feel like they think they know how black people are supposed to act or supposed to conduct themselves, and then when you do things, I've had a white person tell me, how does she say it? I mean, you're black, but you're not like a regular black person. And at the time,
I've had that.
But what the fuck does that mean?
Man.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what does that even mean? Because at the time when we were talking, we were actually talking about me being in school and like my goals after school. So in your mind, black people don't get education or they don't have goals and aspirations. Like, I don't respect that type of thinking. I'm all for conversation, and I've had conversation with different white people where they're like seeking to understand. I am the person that in all things that I have knowledge on, if you're trying to be educated, I am going to have that conversation with you. And there are a lot of people that won't, because they feel like, oh, you should Google, or oh, you should this. But I also understand that people learn things in different ways. Like, I will make a status or a tweet asking for like recommendations for stuff rather than Google sometimes, because of the conversation and the interaction and the feedback, and you could get real time, you know what I'm saying, reviews or whatever, that you can't always trust what's on Google. So like, I am the one that I am willing to have conversation. That's all fine and dandy, and we can even come to a place of agreeing to disagree on certain things, and we're not going to go all too deep, because but I just have an issue with just the audacity, and just think about that. Think about how this white woman felt so entitled to be able to say to me, you're quiet. I've never seen, because you're a black woman, you're too quiet, or however she said it. And then on top of that, when you realize you offended me, then you in the next breath say it was a joke, don't be offended. And I've literally never seen you a day in my life. Like, what is it like to feel like you could just do shit like that and people are supposed to accept it? Because I don't have, and that's what privilege is. You have the privilege that you could tell me and my black children whatever you want, and then tell me, but don't feel any type of way about it because I'm joking. What? That's privilege. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have that privilege, and me, I have to either decide, well, really, I was in shock. So, and then every time those things happen, I get mad afterwards, because I'm like, man, I wish I wasn't the person that instantly is shocked. I wish I was the person that would have just not necessarily even gone off on her, but do like I do in most situations where I ask questions. Not, you know what I'm saying? Just, I don't know.
Well, I like
Yeah.
nowadays. I think they're a little bit more careful. I mean, I think they're bold these days, but they're a little bit more careful because they can ask one.
Yeah. And then I thought about, but I let it go, because I thought about calling up to her job and making a complaint, but I just let it go, because I didn't feel like, because then it's like, if they didn't do anything about it, what next steps would I take? And me going down that journey, I just personally did not feel like doing all that. Should I have? I don't know, because my daughter was like, sometimes you should say something, because that's why people think that they can, get away with stuff like that. And I'm not saying she's wrong, but in general, I am the kind of person that I only use the energy to have those conversations if you are someone in my life that actually matters. So if you are a friend, yes, I'm going to go there to explain to you how what you did made me feel. But if you're a stranger, I'm probably not. If you're a stranger, I don't even correct you if you pronounce my name wrong, because you're irrelevant. So in that situation, I didn't feel like it was worth it for me to do all that. But, that's kind of how our stuff went. So, yeah.
So, all in all,
yeah.
Would you recommend this movie?
Hell no. I mean, I'm probably still going to watch the rest of the franchise because I mean, I'm not going to say I didn't laugh. It was a good escape. You know what I'm saying? Go back to the 80s, go back to whatever. But what I say, I highly recommend this movie. Nah, because I don't know if you're going to be offended by. It's wild. If you have a wild sense of humor, then yeah, go ahead and watch the movie.
And I really feel like a lot of people who haven't seen this would love this movie, but they're not going to admit it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, if I would recommend the movie, but I would only recommend it to certain people.
That's a good disclaimer.
No, because seriously, like I would be like, Paco, you will watch this movie. You know what I mean? But you know, I'm not gonna call her my granny. Like, Granny, remember that movie? I'm not gonna do that. You know, it's even hard to say that it was a classic because I don't know.
It's wild. It's crazy because when I think back to when we watched The Breakfast Club, it had so many like wild stuff too, but it was a different type of wild. I think because they weren't like breezing over it like it was okay. And I think that's the difference with this movie is that you say things like my dad is molesting me, and then the movie never revisited it and just moved on from it. You do things like have your dad on your car and just leave her at your brother's house outside in the rain, say that little crazy ass prayer or whatever. And he kept saying, yay. As part of the prayer. So it's like, it's the mockery of things that's like, this is wild. Like that I'm just like, I'm not.
Yeah, it was it was a bit much.
See if this works better.
You're back in now.
Yeah, you're back in.
But go ahead, Baylor.
Internet. It was a different time. It was a different time. But even during that time, it was a lot of inappropriate stuff. You know, not only being said, but like the actions was crazy. And again, like it's almost like the whole movie had me like, even though I know this came out in the 80s, and like I said, it came out a year after I was born. I'm looking at this like, yo, every scene, it was like something foul.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like they
kind of reminded me of Family Guy.
Yes, but worse. Yeah, worse. And you know what? I'm glad you brought a Family Guy because, like, we often like if someone plays a role, like it's easy to say like Chevy Chase played a messed up role in this movie or his character, or whatever the case may be. Like, yo, who was the writers?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I think the difference with Family Guy is that Family Guy is animated, so it's not actual people. Yeah, there's voice actors, but that's it. I think when you have real life people, not only the people that wrote it, but then also the actors and actresses that read the script and agreed to go along with it, that's what makes it wild. Because just like any content that you put out there, and I don't know how much they thought about this back then, but it's like you're judged by the content that you put out there. And a lot of times that's all you're judged by, because people don't know you outside of the roles that you play. So I think about somebody like Gabrielle Union, for example, because of the roles that she played as that super standoffish, almost snobby seeming person in every movie that I've ever seen her in, or everything. I really did not. I'm not gonna say I didn't like. No, I didn't like her in real life, because I'm like, it's just like them people on some of them Tyler Perry movies or whatever, where they play their role so well. Junior from the Players Club, I would never trust him I would never want to be around him just because he played that role so well. So she played her role so well, but then fast forward to whenever I started following her on Instagram. So then you get to see just her, the person. I mean, obviously it's social media presence, so whatever with that. But still, just getting to see her as a mom, and because you can't fake some of the stuff that happens with your kids, because your kids will say anything, especially at her daughter's age. And seeing her with her stepchildren and all that stuff, it's kind of like, okay, then you get to see a different side of them, but you didn't have that back then. So in his legacy are these movies that are wild as hell, and it's just interesting.
I'm glad you brought up the characters that you can't separate the character from the actor because of how good of a job they did.
Right.
Monster that just came out recently. Nas is in there only for like 7 seconds, but Paul Ben Victor, and you might not know him by his name, but you've seen him in plenty of movies. And it just seems like he plays like the same character, but in this particular movie, he was the defense attorney, and it seemed like no, he was the prosecutor. Well, let's just say he wasn't with us.
Okay.
And we did we mentioned it on a podcast, and everybody that was on the call was saying like he played that role a little too good. You know what I mean? Like a little too good. And I've come across some actors and actresses where I'm like, yo, I don't think I'll ever separate y'all and call y'all by your real name. You know what I mean? Like till this day. And I stopped watching this TV show like around the 5th or 6th season or something like that. But The Walking Dead, Rick will always be Rick to me. You know what I mean? Everywhere I go, if I see him, I'm like, yo, Rick. I don't know what his real name is, but on this show is Rick. So yeah.
Well, that's like Terrence Howard will always be either Hustle and Flow, probably, or Lucius Lyon. Like, and he's been and done other things, but it seems like he always plays that same type of role. I think about even, and I've heard people talk about like Denzel, even I'd say Training Day was not the typical Denzel role. And that's what I liked so much about that movie, because it was him as really the bad guy, if you really think about it. And you didn't usually see that. Usually he's trying to overcome something crazy, and then he's the good guy. And so I like when actors have that range, that you see them do all kinds of different stuff. But yeah, this is, like I said, though, when you have the animated shows, because Boondocks is wild too, but it's just different when it's a cartoon and it's not like
there's a lot of truth to the Boondocks. You know what I mean? So they gotta let that one. You gotta give us something. You know what I'm saying? You gotta give us something. Like, Boondocks held it down every season too.
Yeah.
They
so Cedric, would you recommend this movie to people?
Oh yeah. When I first watched it, I don't know if I even said it. I thought it was a kids movie when I first seen it, because I was a kid my dang self, so I didn't even, like you said, I didn't know there was a nudity scene in there. So when I watched it again,
man, we be
it kind of
so
surprised.
Innocent.
I was like, what? I didn't even know there was so much cussing in the movie actually as well too. But I didn't recognize that the grandmother passed away. There was a couple of scenes I just didn't really realize that happened actually in the movie. Until I watched it today, I was like, oh man, this movie is This movie was not what I thought of when I was a kid. So that's what made it actually even better watching it today. Like you said, man, it kind of brings me back to like some of like 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 what's his name? Bernie Mac. There's certain people I don't think that like they maybe did pass away at a good time. Because rest in peace, Bernie Mac. I love him. I wish he was still here, but man, he said some wild stuff as well too. It's just like you
That
said,
milk
sometimes
and
you go back to
cookies
watch some people
joke.
like you go back to watch some certain things, you be like, man, they
Man,
would have
most
definitely
of
got
Def
canceled.
Comedy Jam though, that was my show, and it was wild as hell. Every comedian on there said some wild stuff.
Putting
Well, you know
Kool-Aid on the lips
what?
and the eyes so you can't scream and holler.
Now
Beat you.
that y'all just brought that up, I mean, rest in peace to Paul Mooney.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I've
man. Rest in
heard
peace.
you know, he actually had people get up and walk out of his shows because his stuff was very like very straightforward or whatever. But you know, that's a goat right there because he wrote for the goats.
Right. And the thing about it is, now let's switch lanes or not switch lanes, but let's the difference between why it's acceptable, I guess, in National Lampoon's Vacation. Although, like I said, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, not because I wouldn't watch it, but it's really wild, and I don't want to be the reason that you saw this. But it's a comedy, and comedy, I feel like
It's
back in the
supposed to
day
be
comedy,
funny.
like back in the day comedy, the Def Comedy Jams and stuff like that, I love that because there wasn't the cancel culture. I think comedy is a lane that you shouldn't get into trying to censor it and all these things, because you are there to laugh, you are there to be made fun of. Like I watched Joe Coy comedy special on Netflix. I watched one of them. Shout out to Drake from Everything Culture podcast, because he posted them on him on Instagram. So that's what even put me on to him. It was a wild ass show. He's talking about F that kid, about his son, and just talking about his mom and all kinds of stuff. But it was funny. And I think comedy is not supposed to be all censored. Like, I want to laugh. And so I think that's the difference between National Lampoon's Vacation versus The Breakfast Club, because I believe The Breakfast Club was supposed to be more serious. It has more serious characters, even though there were some of the same things going on and being talked about. Because even though Allison may or may not have been telling the truth, she really was talking about that her therapist was sexually molesting her. We don't know if it's real because she was just lying, but it's just some things came out that were similar things. There was drugs all in the library, but the only difference is it was shown for what it was, which is wrong, versus in National Lampoons, it was just like, yeah, my daddy said this, let's move on. Or, everything was a joke. So that was the difference. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we are going to go ahead and wrap this up. So before we get out of here, why don't y'all tell the people where they could follow y'all? I mean, yeah, follow y'all, find y'all, all that good stuff.
You can find me at CLW at CLW51. You can find that on all platforms except for Facebook. It's just Cedric Wickham. Or you can find my photography Instagram says photography. But apologize as well too on the stream too. My internet's been, as you see, just been kind of going in and out. I don't know what's been going on here at the apartment, but I'm actually hooked up on Wi-Fi on my phone now, so I can keep it going. Yeah. So
yeah, it's all good. I usually, when things happen, just keep talking like it didn't happen, and unless I lose the person I'm talking to, then I'll talk to myself edit it out maybe because just I make it work. It's always fine. But Baylor, where can they find you? Baylor.
At Baylorism. No longer at Baylor the Great, but at least on Twitter. At Baylor the Great on everything else. And I think that's it. Yeah, at Baylorism on Twitter, at Baylor the Great on every other platform outside of Twitter, because Twitter don't want to give me my handler back.
And your merch, how can they get? Because you got custom merch, so is it still DM you or
it's still DM?
Okay.
But it's getting there. The link is coming soon. The website is coming soon. But as of now, you can still hit me on Twitter, IG, Facebook, which I'm barely on. What's the other one? Oh, I don't know my TikTok name. I honestly don't know. But if you do,
Wash Society.
Oh, that sounds familiar. So definitely you can follow that one. Whatever, DMs work. I usually work fast, but give me some time. Oh man.
Oh my gosh. And for me, you can find me on Twitter, IG, the Facebook page as well. All of that can be found on my website, tamerthedon.com. Thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you're taking care of your mental health, emotional health. Take care of yourself physically. That's super important as well. Spiritually, you got to be spiritually healthy. We all have spirit, so let's not be toxic. And then have healthy relationships. And one of the things Baylor said that I think a lot of people I'm noticing don't want to do is take accountability and humble yourself. If someone tells you that you offended them in some kind of way, if the relationship matters to you, then you, and I'm not saying if they're like, oh, you bitch ass nigga. No, don't take disrespect. But if somebody respectfully tells you how something you did offended them, sometimes you got to humble yourself and just accept it and understand that the relationship is more important than you feeling like you're right. And so that's why I added the whole having healthy relationships in it, because we could be on this journey of, oh yeah, I'm healthy and I'm taking care of whatever, but you still got to deal with people. And sometimes for me, what I'm having to grow in, because it's easier for me to cut people off than to have those hard conversations, especially if I know it might not be received well. But sometimes you still got to have that conversation just if the relationship is, important to you. If it's not, then it doesn't matter. So make sure y'all are out here doing that work, because it is work. And thank y'all so much for tuning in. Until y'all see me again, bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for Tamara.